Like you reach out to a person in the industry and they've never met you. They don't know you from anyone else. And you're just another person. They're getting 100 of those, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you separate yourself out?
Hey, what's up, everyone? My name is Danielle. I'm the CEO and co-founder of The Connect. Joining me today for Connecting Over Coffee is Roger Jones. He is the director of the Cleveland Browns and director of partnerships. Sorry, let's get that title correct. Director of partnerships for the Cleveland Brown. Roger, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Danielle. It's good to be here. It's good to see you. It's been far too long since you and I have had a chat, and I'm glad we can do it over some coffee.
Yes, definitely. First question, have to ask: are you a coffee or are you a tea drinker, or neither?
I don't drink coffee. I will drink tea. Chai tea, green tea, herbal grey, Earl Grey, but I do not drink coffee.
Me either, actually. It's just a catchy name for the show.
Right, absolutely, right.
Sipping tea over to Connect doesn't sound that great.
We can say spilling tea. We can spill some tea.
Spill the tea, yeah. Maybe you might have to do some rebranding there. All right, so let's get into it. We're going to do a 2-minute drill just so everyone can get to know you a little bit more about you. Rapid fire questions, warm us up, get us in the flow of asking and answering questions here. So let's kick it off with favorite athlete.
LeBron James.
LeBron James. Favorite sports team?
The Cleveland Browns.
Sensing the theme here. Favorite sports movie?
Favorite sports movie? That's a good one. I'm going to go, man, that is a very good one. I'm going to go Remember the Titans.
Ooh, all right, that is a good one. That's a classic right there.
Very classic.
Song that gets you hyped every time you listen to it. Song you might play before a big meeting.
We ready. I'll stop there.
All right. Drake or Kanye? Controversial. Drake.
What's controversial about it? He's way better than Kanye. Kanye stopped making hits in 2012.
So you probably won't appreciate my mug that says "humble" with a hint of Kanye. So
no, I do appreciate that. I
do. Who is the GOAT in your opinion? MJ, Tom Brady, or Serena Williams?
LeBron James, but if I have to go out of that, I'd say Serena.
Okay, yeah, I agree actually. Jay-Z or Nas? Back to the hip hop. Jay-Z, and then finally, best food spot in Cleveland.
Ooh, see, now you stumped me.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you my go-to lunch spots.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can't just give you that. Man, you know what? This is tough. So actually, you know what? I'm gonna throw an old school. It's not here anymore.
Okay.
But it's gonna be my answer. Hot Sauce Williams. Anyone who grew up in Cleveland before 2000, they know Hot Sauce Williams was the most fire soul food in Cleveland.
Man.
I can tell you about some times me and my father, it'd be like Thanksgiving, he didn't cook anything. He's like, "You hungry?" And we just drive down to Hot Sauce Williams. So good. Hot Sauce Williams.
Unfortunately, they're no longer around.
No longer around. You know what? I didn't know they were until I got back. I moved back. I drove past, as I was driving up, I was like, "Oh, I'm telling you, this is good." It's devastating. It was actually one of the worst days of my life.
Yeah. Maybe after this call, we'll have to set up a GoFundMe to bring them back, you know?
Got to.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to buy it.
Oh man. So just to get into jumping right into it here, I want to kick this one off with a quote that my mentor told me. It's something she told me early on in my career when I first met her, actually. And it's simple. It's like, you can always go back home. And essentially what that means is don't be afraid to take opportunities outside of your comfort zone, in a different state, different career path, or what have you. Because just remember, in the back of your head, you can always go home. And that's something that's always been in the back of my head when new opportunities come about, or new challenges always come about as well. You, since going through, you've been started out in Ohio, Cleveland, Ohio, went to Indiana, went to the DMV, and now back home. Kind of talk me through how that may impact you and the risk and the opportunities that you've taken outside of your comfort zone.
I see why you chose that.
Yeah.
It's funny. I always say my path is obviously not linear, right? When I started in school, knowing that I wanted to work in sports, learning about it, interning, holding these positions. I knew when I graduated, I wanted to work for the Cavs, Indians, and Browns, right? Like I wanted to work for one of those organizations. Funny enough, I had an opportunity to work in inside sales for the Cavs. I had an offer my senior year, and I would have been able to do my hit my goal right away out of college, which would have been awesome. My career didn't end up that way. I ended up staying at OU and interning for IMG and learning the corporate partnerships world.
Mm-hmm.
And loving the corporate partnerships world, and then going to Muncie, and then Akron, right, which was back home. But then to your point, like I hit a point. I was like, I want to grow. I want to grow beyond Ohio. I want to grow beyond Akron. That I went down to the DMV, worked at the University of Maryland, not really knowing anyone but one guy. I knew one person in DC at the time, and it taught me to explore. It taught me to be comfortable in places that I'm unfamiliar with. It taught me to learn the state of Maryland and learn the DMV. And it opened my eyes to different industries. It opened my eyes to how other businesses or other areas of the country operate and work. And it really gave me a sense of, just elevating the way I thought, right? So it was definitely out of my comfort zone. I mean, I didn't know anyone, right? I had to change the way I communicated because I wasn't around everyone that I knew, right? I had to learn how to weirdly be a chameleon because I was in situations that I was uncomfortable with or unfamiliar with and potentially uncomfortable, and I had to seem like I was comfortable, and it was like the saying when you get around like a celebrity and everything, and just like, oh, you act like you've been there. Like I had to act like I've been there in so many different situations that I had never been. So it gave me that ability, and then obviously having the opportunity to come home, be around family, work at an organization that I always wanted to be. It was great. It's great.
Yeah. No, that's very rewarding. That's pretty awesome. And then also that continuous growth in each career wasn't just a move to move. It was always upward movement there, which is always great and always what you want to accomplish. And
absolutely. And with that, like I worked in college athletics most of my career and until before working for the Browns. And working in the pros, that's a challenge. It's something that's completely different than what I'm used to, right? I'm coming in acting like I've been here, but I've never worked in the pros. Today is actually my 1-year anniversary with the Browns. So
happy anniversary.
Thank you. I got through 1 year, and I'll tell you this: there's been some amazing things, and there's been some challenging things, and I'm still learning how to transition fully, and it is completely different than what I'm used to, and that's to your point. It's easier to do when I'm home and have like a community around me supporting, but it is something that I relish.
Yeah, Awesome. Corporate sponsorship. Let's talk about that a little bit. Talk about how this role in sports and how you got into it. There's so many different roles you can take in sports. Corporate partnerships. What stood out to you the most about being involved with that team specifically?
Yeah, no, it's at its core, it's relationship building,
Mhm.
right? At its core, it's about generating relationships, building trust with brands, building trust internally,
Yeah.
so that you can work to create something unique or something that will achieve the objectives not only of the brand but also of your organization, right? Your
Yeah.
property, your team, and I just enjoyed building relationships with people I never, would talk to otherwise.
Mhm.
I enjoyed learning about industries I'd never, explore otherwise. I kid you not, I've literally over the last couple months have taught myself about the payment processing industry. And let me tell you, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yes.
But I can tell you, I can sit here, you and I can have conversations about gateways, about the actual process or how money actually transfers, through the journey of where it goes to your bank and then back to you and say that you're approved. Like it is insane of all the knowledge that I've gained in the past 2 months just because I'm in this role, right?
Yeah.
And I'm trying to build relationships with these brands and companies. So I was attracted to the ability to really live and learn other people's worlds and industries, um, while still being able to say I work in sports,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Definitely.
it's simple. And you and I talked about this earlier. There's a scoreboard, right? That competitive side of me where I want to generate the most revenue, right? Like
Yes.
that's always a fire that you're always going to have when you're a seller, right?
Yes, definitely. I can relate to that for sure. But I thought it was interesting, going back to our conversation, our previous question about being a chameleon and always constantly changing and learning, and then realistically applying that to your role with learning about payment services, learning about the new, maybe even like Bitcoin, you'll probably be learning about pretty soon, I'm sure. So
Yeah, oh yeah,
different industries.
yeah. Crypto, oof, NFTs,
Yes.
yeah. Those I got gray hairs because of those.
But one of the things that, I was in corporate partnerships as well on the activation side. And, one of the things that I've always envisioned and always, I shouldn't say envisioned, always seen and what I've known from even before I got into corporate partnerships is, white male working, smoking cigars on the golf course, getting business deals done. Talk me through a little bit, in your opinion, how we can see that landscape changing to having not only just females being more on the selling side of corporate partnerships, but even younger people like yourself being directors and really honing in on that corporate partnership and bringing in I would say, a new era of how partnerships are done.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it don't is on us, right? We got to pave that way. We gotta perform. We gotta show that we're capable, right? I mean, Jesse Jesse Owens had to go to Germany and win, right, and dominate,
Yeah.
right, to show that we can do this. Like we're in a same scope, and I'm not saying we're going to be historic and we're going to be in books, but
Mhm.
we're going to have an impact. And the thing that you're starting to see, and it gives me some hope for the future, is there's a lot of younger Black male and females interested in this area, but not they're interested in sports industry in general.
Yeah.
And we have enough of us willing to do these, have these conversations, record them, share them, help educate, help mentor them. We have to be the ones to open doors when we get in a position. Like I always say, my dream job isn't to be the GM of the NFL team, or to be the CEO of an NFL team, or CFO of a brand. My dream job is to be in a position that will open doors and provide the tools for the next generation to do what we do and to do what they want to do in the sport industry and grow it, right? Like that to me is what my purpose is, right? I want to get to a certain level where I have the resources, but also the influence to really bring the next generation up. And when we do that, that's when we're going to see change. And we have to do it so transparently, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was actually talking with a professor of sport management at the University of Finley. And him and I were talking, and we were just reminiscing about when we were in college in sport management, and we would always hear the, oh, you have to go through ticket sales to get anywhere. You gotta go through sales first, or
Yes.
you have to network this certain way, or and like the thing is, some of that was good advice, and then others it wasn't. That's not how the actual industry works, right?
Mm-hmm.
What we have to do now, and what he's trying to do, is he's trying to give young students and kids, and even just young people in the industry, an insight to how it actually works, right?
Yes.
I had a young lady I mentor, and she was telling me about how she walked into a room or into a suite, and it was full of, she was only Black female in that room. And she felt uncomfortable with how she had to act, or how she felt she had to act in that room. And, I smiled and I said, tell me how you actually feel, right? And she said, I just felt like I was a fraud, or there's something fake about what was going on. And I said, listen, I've been in those shoes. I felt that way too.
Yeah.
Until the moment I didn't. And the moment I didn't is when I realized that me being a Black male surrounded in a white room, I have perspective that no one else sees.
Yes.
In that, I've experienced things that they haven't. That's valuable, especially in today's age. It is so valuable, and I realized that's power. That's power. And I started also realizing that I have to be authentically who I am, right? And if there's an organization that doesn't respect that, doesn't value that, guess what? Leave the organization. I had to be comfortable with leaving an organization. So you talk about me moving around, and remember, that was another thing that we were told, in school, bouncing around is not good.
Yeah.
I think it's great, to your point, as long as you're growing, right? And you're like, you have to be an architect of your career, right? That company is going to still be there unless, they do some really, really horrible stuff and things happen. But you have to be an architect of your career. You have to be able to navigate how you want it to be. So I think we as a group, and you're starting to see this too, Danielle, we're trying to navigate and open up doors for the next generation. And I think it's going to happen soon.
Yeah, I sorry, I was just writing that down. You have to be an architect of your career. I love that saying right there. So I just had to jot it down really quickly. Just that's something I'm probably going to post up on a Post-it note in my office. Be an architect of your own career. There, I love that saying right there. So I appreciate it. But to your point, I always kind of refer back to Derek Jeter. If there's maybe not Derek Jeter in his role with what he's doing with the Miami Marlins, her name's escaping me, but maybe we don't have the first female Asian GM in baseball. So right. I'm right there with you with the changes once you get in there and having those opportunities to create different people and give a different voice and a different feel to something that's been done over and over again. I always see that there. That's kind of my goal too as well. So that's awesome to hear as well. Someone, and especially in your position,
you're the connector.
Yeah, that's how the name came about, the Connect, connecting people and everything else. So that's another story for another time. But just going back into a little bit, we touched on it very briefly, but networking, and especially in corporate partnerships and in life in general, discuss the importance of networking, and then also the importance of networking to make sure you're growing as well.
Yeah, so I think you're getting to where I always tell, people, networking used to be, oh, just shake as many hands, get as many business cards, and then follow up with an email or follow up with a letter and thanking the people, right? Like,
Yes.
Hey, networking, right? Or, hey, just, networking. Hey, have you met my friend? Introducing people to networking. I always say that's great, right? You want to have a lot of people know who you are, what you do, get to know them. That's fantastic. Where the next step of networking really applies, where I think a lot of us is the gap, and we're wondering like, well, I'm so connected, but why can't I get to where I want to be?
Yeah,
we're not telling people where we want to be, and a lot of times we don't even know it ourselves. Right. So when I work with a lot of young people, I always tell them, I say, do this for me. Right. Look at 3 to 5 places 3 to 5 areas you want to work in the industry. Right. Jobs that you would love to work in. 3 to 5 like companies or teams or properties you'd love to work for. Right. And then 3 to 5 places you want to live. Right. We always forget, like, we got to live there. You can love your job, but if you hate where you live, if you're not going to be as effective at your job, or you're going to want another job, right? Mm-hmm. So I always say, write those down, and those things may change. But if you know those things, now you can hone in on where you want to go, right? So how does that go back to networking? Now you have this network of people you know. Why don't you reach out and tell them where you want to go? Tell them about what jobs you want to be in, what you want to look for. I call that activating your network. I always, when I work with mentoring young folks or people who started in the industry, I always tell them, I'm like, if you wanted to work for Dick's Sporting Goods, right, and you were so interested, you saw a role, and you applied, right? And you reached out to, I'm not going to say Danielle, because I know she would connect back, because that's just who she is. But like, you reach out to a person in the industry and they've never met you. They don't know you from anyone else. And you're just another person. They're getting 100 of those, right? Mm-hmm. How do you separate yourself out? Now, if you and I, are connected and we've been mentoring, and I know you want to work for Dick's, and I have your resume, and I send it to Danielle, who I'm connected to, and I know she can, either get your resume passed on to the right person, or can put a good word in because it's coming from me. Yeah. Now you're activating your network. Now you're separating yourself, and now your resume is most likely going to be flagged. So it's taking networking to the networking for networking's sake is good, but why don't you activate your network? Keep them active, so now you can help achieve your goals. Even with goals, like maybe you're comfortable in your role, but you have other goals, right, that you want to do, right? So like right now, I love what I do. I love what I'm doing, corporate partnerships, but I'm starting to feel like there's so much more I could be doing, and it's on the D&I side. It's on the and making an impact more in my community, obviously the city of Cleveland. Like, how do I branch those? So I reach out to a lot of folks who I know are in the D&I space, and I'm trying to just get educated, and I'm trying to connect with other people in the D&I space so I can get more educated, right? Like, I'm saying, hey, how are you guys building that council? What programs are you doing? How's it impacting the community, right? So for me, I'm using my network to learn and gain more knowledge that I can bring back to my organization and build some things here and just better ourselves.
Yeah.
So it's about activating your network. You can't activate your network if you don't know what your goals are and where you want to be. And then if you don't share it with them,
Yeah.
you gotta share it with them.
No, that I wrote that down too. Activating your network. That don't be surprised if you see us post activating your network and using this exact clip in one of our
Send it out. Send it out.
Definitely.
I do need to trademark it though.
before we send it, so actually before you trademark it, we should get it out. Get it all set.
Yeah. I'll
so
give you a discount.
So for you, I'm going to switch this question up, but it's a question that we always ask, is going back to yourself here. Typically we always ask, what's your MJ moment? But I'm going to switch it up for you and say, what's your LeBron moment in your career or in life, where someone maybe, was hating on you, said you couldn't do this or that, or just a moment where you just had to prove someone wrong, whether their intentions were negative or positive, or they thought it was being positive, I should say. What is that LeBron moment for you?
Yeah. You know what? I think, Danielle, we've talked about this. The way I really enjoy working at the University of Maryland. I think it's a great athletic department. I really enjoyed my time there, but the leadership there they weren't the best. I think for me, that moment was when I and that's when I realized, right? You have to be okay walking away from a company. It's a company. It's a job.
Yeah.
I always tell people I'm going to always be okay. The Browns can fire me tomorrow. They can be like, "Hey, Roger, it's just not working out." I'm like, okay. Like I no hard feelings. Hey, great guys. I'm going to be okay. I know my value. I know what I can bring to the table. I know who I am. And that moment happened when, one of the executives basically, told me to stay in my lane, and tried signing me after months of doing 3 jobs, right?
Yeah.
And making sure that the property was staying afloat, and in a tumultuous time. And at that point, I knew. I was like, my value to him is only for myself. And I said, I think I'm more valuable. So you will have my resignation at the, this time tomorrow. So like for me, I think it's, and then look at me, right? Obviously, I think my career has been benefited well after that. I've grown. But you just gotta be okay with change. And you know what? I embrace change. Honestly, I'm never close to an opportunity as much as I love the Cleveland Browns, and I do. You just have to be able to be open to new opportunities and be willing to fail. Like, it's okay if something doesn't work out.
Yeah.
It's okay. You know what? I love LeBron James. Space Jam 2 was solid. Okay. But it's okay. He's still going to make movies, right?
Yep.
Still going to make movies, right? I mean, I saw Space Jam 2. I love Ron. I like Space Jam 2.
Yeah.
I do. Okay.
He's watching maybe later in life.
I know. Ron, I love everything you do. I love, right?
Yeah.
He's still going to make movies, right? You just got to keep going.
No, I love that. I think we have a similar, I talk to my team, we talk about our MJ moments. I got a bunch of them, one similar to yours, where just knowing your worth and knowing when to leave and move on, and then being okay if that next move that you made wasn't the right move, wasn't the move that you needed to make at the time. It was the right move at the time, but it's just going to catapult you to an even better move. And I'm all about that.
Here's the thing too. You take L's aren't losses. They're lessons.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they're learning experiences. Like if I'm at Maryland, I learned a ton. And at the end, I was like, I learned it was my time to leave. It was my
Yeah.
time to move on. And that's okay. And I think too, it's no one's adding to your worth or creating your worth or stuff. You are.
Hmm.
Like you are defining what your worth is, right?
Yeah.
You, no one else. Your boss doesn't. Like you define your worth. So if someone is telling you you're not worth a certain thing, screw them.
Ready to go.
I was trying to find the word to keep it a little bit PG.
No, it's okay. Fortunately, our next question you'll see is a little PG-13 in terms of language, but so no worries. We have someone. We'll go. Good thing it's recorded, right? We can edit out those words there and hit the button right there for us. So, so final question. It's a question that I always ask Loving. My team, we always ask Loving it to each other. That came out weird. We always ask it to each other, and people we talk to when we do these interviews. It's the shit you wish you would have knew. So basically, it's something you wish you would have known to either, in the sports and entertainment business that you wish you were able to tell your younger self, or someone just starting out in a career. Something like, man, shit, I wish I would have known that 10 years ago, or something along those lines there. So what's that for you?
Listen, it's not all glamour. I mean, listen, when we're young, we see the sports and we say we work in sports and our friend sees us on the field, and we can get people tickets and everyone loves us. It's not all glamour, y'all. Like, it's cool. Don't get me wrong. I love going to game days. Still do, right? There's still parts of it. But now, it's tough. I can't watch my favorite team. I'm working. I can see a little bit of the game. I'm not sitting there. This past Sunday was the first time I got to sit and watch the game, right? Literally watch the game and see and enjoy as a fan, right? And we were away and playing Cincinnati. Like I don't do that anymore. At first when you start, you're all like, oh, this is awesome. I'm on the field. I get a pass. All my friends are behind me. This is cool. Oh, I'm throwing out T-shirts. I get gear. Oh, I'm hanging with the players or whatever it is. Yeah, it's cool. It's great. It's not all glamour, right? There's work, right? And honestly, you brought this up earlier. The sport industry, like not many other industries. I mean, there's a lot of industries like it or that have this problem, but the sport industry specifically is a good old boys industry.
Yeah.
Listen, it is literally, you have players who work, yes, they make a large wage, but you have a lot of people profiting off of their abilities, like abilities. And it is a system that was built not for people who look like us to thrive and strive. Yes, you have a lot of people growing. It is an entertainment business where you're on the top 1 second and then no one talks about you in the next.
Yeah.
It is a revenue generating billions of dollars, and you have to understand what it actually is for you to truly be able to enjoy it and get used to it. People burn out in sports, right? I'll tell you, there's been times where I've been close. I've had opportunities in other industries, right? And I've been close to walking away from it because it is a tough industry. It does burn you out. Long hours, the pay ain't great. we know this, right?
Yes.
I look and see some of my friends in other industries. I'm like, what? how much you making? Right? You been only doing that for how long? Right. And you know what? It's something you have to truly be passionate about. And honestly, and I wish I would have known a lot of those things, right? I wish I
Yeah.
would have known that it's not always glamorous. It's there's a lot and there's levels to it, right?
Yes.
And just like I was told about, the young lady that I mentored, and her feeling and how operate. I still feel that sometimes,
Yeah.
right? It's never goes away, right? Even there,
Yes.
it never goes away, and it's an uphill battle the whole way, the
Yeah.
whole way. And I hopefully, I hopefully we get to a point where it does. I mean, you can even look at the Phoenix Suns, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at every level, we're talking about this. And the one reality that we don't want to talk about is that this is true. Like this is reality.
Yeah. It's it's frustrating to a certain degree. I know we're going off. That was my last question, but one of the things, just one thing, because I've been in those rooms, I've been in those suites. I never felt intimidated in those suites with those clients because my solution has always been, all right, well, how can we get some of us in here? So that's always been my solution when you feel outnumbered. I guess where my intimidation would always come from, like your mentee, I should say, is when you're in the room making those decisions. That's always been an uncomfortable feeling for me. And the twofold reason why. They look to you when they want to get into that, either female or minority space. They think you have all the answers. And then you feel like you can't speak up when it's about something else because female, I got a double negative. Yeah. I'm female, I'm minority, and I'm trying to bring in some revenue. So, I can understand her trepidations there. But one thing that someone told me, and something always stuck with me, is like, I got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Yeah.
It should, guys. This is a job. It's how we make our living, right? It's how we
Yeah.
survive and live. Why should we feel uncomfortable in a place where we literally spend how much of our time in life?
Too much.
So for me to survive, I have to be uncomfortable. I can't like for me, it's just when I get to a point of that,
Hmm.
I have to figure out another pathway, another opportunity.
Yeah. And I feel like me and you, we might have to do a part two to this conversation.
I'm happy. I'm
Yeah,
happy to.
definitely. Thank you again for this, Roger. I really appreciate connecting. Just a truthful and honest chat that we had here. I really appreciate it. So thank you again. I appreciate it, Roger.
Anytime, Danielle. Thanks for having me.